Hello, everybody. This is Maxine Taylor with another edition of Move Into the Magic. And as you know, my guests are all today's movers and shakers. And my guest today is a dear friend who I've interviewed before. Some of you recognize her because you have heard her speak at the Contact in the Desert conference at the Joshua Tree for more than 1 year. And you know who Sherry Wilde is. Just to jog your memory, in case you may have forgotten, Sherry is the author of The Forgotten Promise, Rejoining Our Cosmic Family. I interviewed her when she wrote this book. It is one of my favorite books. She is one of my favorite movers and shakers. And so, Sherry, welcome back to Movers
Hello.
and Magic. Hey.
Thank you. Nice introduction. Thank you.
Well, of course. Let me tell everybody, the Joshua Tree this year is June 3rd through 6th. It's at the Joshua Tree Retreat Center. Contact in the Desert is the ongoing name of this marvelous conference. Sherry, in this fabulous book, The Forgotten Promise, you talk about how you discovered that you had been receiving extraterrestrial contact since you were a child. And as a nice little housewife and realtor, as an adult, you didn't even know it. Would you kind of walk us through that again? Because it's such a fascinating story.
It is. It still fascinates me, Maxine, in all honesty, because it's very surreal. I've gotten used to the idea, but I remember very clearly what it felt like to have a normal life, what seemed like a normal life. But I had had a lot of anomalies, a lot of things in my life that I had swept under the carpet and turned my back on and looked away from and didn't have any explanations for. Missing time, primarily, or weird memories. I remember there was a memory I had where I fell through the rafters, through the attic of this old house we were living in, this old 2-story house. And I remember very clearly one morning, my oldest daughter letting out a yell from in her bedroom. And at the same time that happened, I was falling into bed. I fell into the waterbed, and my youngest daughter was already laying in the bed, and I landed right next to her, and she just went flying. And I remember as I fell through the rafters, I remember seeing all the cobwebs and the insulation, and I got to pick up my dog. Already he's being naughty. Yeah. And come here. And
Let's
say hello. Say hello, Pookie.
Let's see. You hold him up higher.
Say Pookie. Hold on.
Look at that precious baby. Those of you who are listening to this on the radio cannot see this precious white doggy
with big round eyes. Yes. That's my Pookie. So I remember I had instances, I had things like that where, and you know, that day, it's in the book, I think I put that in the book, but I'm not sure. It was one of those anomalies, one of those things that happened to me that I thought my house was collapsing. I couldn't make sense of how it was that I fell into the bed. I had to just forget about the part that I, remembered falling through the rafters in the attic, because that just didn't compute. I didn't know, my daughter had hit her head on the back of her headboard in her bedroom. So it all made sense to me that what had to have happened was that my house had to have dropped about 4 feet or 5 feet. I didn't know that's the only thing that made sense. I was a very pragmatic. I mean, what would you think if all of a sudden you fell into bed and at the same time your daughter did? The only thing you could make sense is that the house was collapsing. So I grabbed my kids and I ran outside onto the lawn with them. And, and then I crept back in and checked the foundation, and I couldn't find anything wrong. I called my dad and had him come out and look at it. I had so many of those kinds of things that didn't make sense. They didn't add up. Well, now clearly I know that what happened was that we were taken and we were dropped back into our beds the way that they do it. They just drop you back in. And so when I awakened to this whole weird thing of alien abductions, that was traumatizing, to say the least. And it was challenging for me to wrap my mind around it. But you know, you have to. You don't have any choice. You just have to finally accept it. You have to finally find, like I put in the book, I had to find a shelf in my mind where I could put that experience and have it not keep getting spit out at me. It is how it felt. I kept putting that experience of alien abduction. I tried to put it into a category that was a dream. I tried to put it in as a fantasy. I tried to put it in as anything other than real, physically real experience. But that's what it turned out to be. And it took a long, long time for me to accept that. But now here I am talking about it publicly. Criminy.
And I am so glad you are, because so many people over the years have written me because they too have had experiences. And as more experiencers step forward, we're able to truly move forward the way we were supposed to and welcome our extraterrestrial brethren. And in your book, I think you say something about, what you talk about that absolutely thrills me, that ties in with this. And I'm jumping ahead here. You mentioned that we are multidimensional beings existing on more than one level simultaneously. Now, let the imagination run with that.
I know. Maxine, they started teaching, that's the number 2 thing on the 3 important things to know, which was originally the title of my book. I had it as the 3 important things to know. And because that was the center, that was the anchor of the book. It was more than, as my guides have told me, the idea that you're being abducted by aliens is intriguing and people are attracted to that. And so you're hoping that that they come closer to hear what you have to say, you know, hoping to hear what the ETs look like and what do they feel like and what this and that, what are the ships like, which is all very interesting and fine and good, and it's understandable that people would be curious. But as Da told me, my main contact guy, he said, you know, you get them in closer and then you hit them over the head with the stick and say, wake up, wake up, wake up. And you want them to learn, you know, the 3 important things to know, because that's what we really need to know.
Yes.
You know, and so the number 2 thing, we are multidimensional beings existing on more than one level simultaneously. They started teaching me that when I was an itty bitty child. I know I was no more than 5 years old when they first started having me memorize those 3 things. And every time they would pick me up, that was part of the whole routine. One of the first things they did, because I went to classes, you know, along with other children. I took classes on the ship, and that was, we had to say what this meant. You know, we are all one with our creator and we are multidimensional beings. That multiple dimensional thing, I didn't get that for a long, long time. And they explain it using downloads and using pictures, like movie pictures that they put in your mind. And I think I finally got it the most when, which one, let's see, when they showed me, in the book, I think I have to illustrate, they showed me a stack of like very thin papers, like the old, way back in the day when you used to use onion skin paper and they had a stack of papers like that, very thin, maybe you'd equate it to wrapping paper now, or that kind of paper. Tissue paper, yes, that's it, thank you. So they had a bunch of that very thin, wispy paper stacked up quite high. And then they took this iron, this metal stake, like it was like a pencil sharp, and they stabbed it down through that. And the thing is that each one of those tissue papers was a life, was an existence, was an experience that was part of who I was. I had a life on all those different dimensions, and that rod that went down, stabbed down through the middle of all those tissues, was my essence. That was my essence. And they use that a lot. So I always knew what that core was, if it was a pillar of light or if it was a stake like that, because they had used that example so many times. I always go, that's me. That's me. I'd say, you know, that's the essence of who I am. I didn't know. But that's how they made it clear to me that, okay, so this is you, and you see, you can put your focus on this level or on this level. You are existing on all those levels, and they're kept kind of compartmentalized, but they can also bleed over. You can also move through these different dimensions. But it's way more complicated than that. I mean, that whole subject is, because you get into timelines, you get into densities, dimensions, you get into, it ultimately brings you back to the truth that is that we are all one. And so I am you and you are me, and we are all one with our Creator. So we are way more than just multidimensional beings. We are it. We are it. We are part of the oneness, We're just a part of oneness. And so it's a simplified version of trying to get us to take a small bite out of that reality that we are one. So it's amazing.
Yes, it is. It brings new meaning to the saying, we are the ones we've been looking for.
Right. And Da told me back when I was writing the book, he said that, if the Earth humans, if they could just get the number one thing, which is that we are all one with our Creator, he said if they could just get that, if we could just get them to understand that, it would change everything. Everything would change in the blink of an eye if we understood truly on a deep level that we are all one with our Creator, because all of a sudden there's no separation. It's the idea of separation that's gotten us into trouble on this planet. The idea that you're a separate body, you're a separate being, that's so much hogwash. We're energy, and we're all melding into one another, and we're projecting these holographic images of a body that we've all agreed to have that be our experience in this dimension, but it's just not true. We're not solid. We're not even real. It's holographic. Even our scientists are realizing that. But people might have the comprehension. They might agree with you if you go up to them and you say, do you believe we were all one with our Creator? They'd probably go, yeah. But they're not living it, They're not living like that. And that's what needs to change, is we need to live like that, because all the wars would go away, all crime would go away. All of a sudden what happens to our neighbor is happening to us, and we would be there. There'd be no more judgment. It would change everything. But anyway, that's what my guys are all about. So.
Well, they've shared so much with you that you've included in your book, The Forgotten Promise.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that you talk about a few pages after that is absolutely fascinating to me and really rings true. All of us who are, for lack of a better phraseology, energy healers. When you talk about the truth that illness originates in the mind,
oh, yeah.
And that it's easy to say we've all had our share of illnesses and
right.
Bumps and etc. Will you talk about that just a little bit, because I think we're in such a crucial time right now. If you could elaborate on that, it would be so helpful to our audience.
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, Maxine, because I just was at the conference this last weekend in Eureka Springs, and if there was one thing that I heard that seemed to be prevalent among all the people there, and I love those people. I love connecting with the people at the conferences, and now it's getting to where I see them every year, But what I heard the most was that their health is failing. They're being challenged with a lot of health issues, and it just seems to be very prevalent. And there's no doubt that it's due to the attack that humanity is under with all the GMOs and the HARP and the ELF and the chemtrails. I mean, you name it, the immunizations, we're just being attacked from every angle. And I'm not to say that we're a victim. If you read my book, you know that I don't believe we're a victim. What is happening, and I will get to answering that, but I think it's interesting and needs to be stated that what's happening, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion for what it's worth, probably 2 cents, maybe 3. But in my opinion, what's happening, I believe that we are in the fourth dimension. I believe we've been in the fourth dimension for a while, because we are moving from third to fifth. And the fourth dimension is a dimension where you are confronted and faced with the results of your creations, or in our case, our miscreations. So as we left the third dimension and move into the fourth dimension, we're coming face to face with our fears, which are our miscreations, as the Course in Miracles would call it. It's everything that we've created out of our subconscious and our deep-seated fears. And so we appear to be under attack. I prefer to put it in that terminology rather than we're being attacked by the cabal or the dark forces. And that's a third dimensional way of saying it. But on the fourth dimension, we should be enlightened enough to say, it appears that we're under attack, but what it really is our own, again, because we are creating our reality. We have on a collective conscious level, we're being faced with our own miscreations. And so we had a lot of fear on this planet, a tremendous amount of fear. And it's true that we had dark forces in control. But again, this is all part of the game that we agreed to. And on some level, all of us agreed to it, and we just all did because we thought it would be interesting to have this great game of dark versus, the bad, evil versus, the light or the white forces, or however you want to, whatever terminology you want to use. I kind of don't like using white and dark, but it's just, that's the way it's evolved. So, but you have this game that's being played and now it's really being amped up. Well, if you're on Facebook, like I'm on Facebook, because you have to be there to connect, I see every day a lot of people who post pictures of the chemtrails or of, and I'm one of them too, and I put on things about because I want to inform people that, be careful what you're eating, be careful of getting those shots, be careful, make conscious decisions. Because the problem is that we have to awaken and we have to be conscious about what's happening on the planet. And the only way we're going to get rid of chemtrails and GMOs and immunizations that are tainted with poison and all this other stuff that victimizes us is to stop being a victim. We have to just decide to stop being the victim. It's just crazy that it's that simple, but that's what it is. And until we decide to stop being, because we're still being the victim when I see a post with, the sky covered with chemtrails, and we're being sprayed here today. You post that picture and you go, I wish they would leave us alone. Why don't they just leave us alone? And why don't they stop spraying us? And I'm sick of this and those dirty bastards. And well, you know what? Instead, just say, I'm not in agreement with this. I refuse to be treated this way. I am God. I am an aspect. I am a part. I am God. And I won't allow this. I don't allow this in my reality. If we just state and continue to state that this is not acceptable, that's all it's going to take, but we're being targeted. And so people are getting sick because it's real, because in this dimension, it's real. We are, in a physical body. It's a hologram, but it's real to us. And so it's going to react to the poisons and to the toxins. So we have to start changing our mind about it. We have to step into our own power. We have to not allow it. That's the key. We have to respond to everything with love and forgiveness, which is going to be tough. And I knew that was, my guys were telling me that they're like, here's the biggest hump that we're going to have to get over in order to awaken. It's for those of us who are awakening or awakened. It's tough because we're awakening into a world that is by and large still asleep. So those of us who are already awake or in that process, here we are in a world that is still a matrix, that's still being controlled by the collective for the most part. We are looking at it and we're seeing it for what it is. And it's hard to bring about any change because you're swimming upstream, because the collective is still pretty much in control and the collective is pretty much all asleep and unconscious. So those of us who are awakened, it makes it really tough to be out there. We still have to play the game of the matrix. We still have to go to work. We still have to earn the money to pay the mortgage. We haven't created our heaven on earth yet. We can see what it can be. We know what it will be. We can hold that vision for it. But it's been hard for the light workers on the planet to do what they need to do. I mean, I just can't say enough good about those beings who have come here to assist the planet, and having to have one foot in the matrix, in the 3D world, trying to make a living, trying to keep food on the table, trying to have some kind of a joyful life, while at the same time doing the work they need to do and holding the vision for the planet to ascend and move into the higher frequencies. It's tough. And plus, there's the issues of a lot of families and friends don't understand the work that you're doing. They don't get it. Well, they don't even, not only do they not get it, they might not even be very tolerant of it. So it's been challenging. So for those who are sick, it's, the thing of it is, it seems to be part of the process of awakening, in all honesty. And I really kind of don't like saying that, but it seems to be part of the process, because it is a wake-up call. It's part of, it might be the way your soul decided to have you awaken or to get your attention. But even so, if your body is sensitive to these toxins, we have to hold a higher vision for ourselves. And so we have to see it for what it is. And I'm dealing with my own health challenges because, I had heavy duty attack, heavy duty attack come on me. And so every day I have to hold the vision and remember the truth of who I am, which is that I am the creator. I am God, and I cannot in truth be sick. My body is presenting to me illness, energy distortions from the alpha radiation that was targeted on me, and from the poison that was targeted on me, and from the implants that they used on me. So they came at me with those three tactics to try to silence me, and it did very nearly succeed. I was quite ill, but what it did is, on some level, I agreed to have that experience, and I always have experiences that I can learn to share with humanity, because that's why I'm here. Mm-hmm. And so my prayer every day is, show me where I should go and what I should do, and, help me to be the best teacher I can be. And if that meant, there came a time when I had to make this choice, and I allowed on some level to have this experience, and I was told it was an initiation of sorts, and it did. It took me into a whole higher realm of awareness about this whole awakening process and what it's like to play the game of victim, and what it takes to no longer be the victim. Had I not had this experience of being under attack, I probably wouldn't have had that awareness. I'd still be looking at the chemtrails and going, okay, send them love, which is fine. Send the chemtrails love. But we have to do more than that. We have to, now what I get is that we have to step into our own power and say, I'm not in agreement with this. I'm not allowing this. This is my planet, and you can't do this. And we just join for it. You don't fight against it, but you just join. We change the collective's thought process. We change that energy. And when you change the energy, it changes the reality. So did that kind of answer, or did I go off on too much of a tangent?
Oh, are you kidding? Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, I can imagine everybody out there resonating to what they're saying, because you are the messenger. That's why I keep after you. Please be a guest. Please be a guest.
Yeah.
Let's do another show. Let's do another show, Sherry.
Yeah.
Yes, beautifully put.
Okay, good. I hope it makes sense, because sometimes I'm not sure if I find the right words or not. But
no, you have the right words. They're perfect. And those who can hear have heard.
Yeah.
Who haven't yet, it's still in there.
Yeah. It's an amazing time. I mean, it's an amazing time. And I think we have to be almost childlike in our wonder about this whole process of evolving. And so many people, and myself included at times, we've all wanted to just get it over with and be there. I know in my Course in Miracles group that I have, a lot of people were expressing that for a long time, and I was chiming right in with them. And then I caught it, and I said, wait a minute. We're here. We're at exactly the right place where we need to be. Everything is perfect. Let's just enjoy the process. Let's not try to rush the vacation and get home, get back. So let's just, we're here to take in what this experience is all about. And let's just, every nuance of it, good, bad, or indifferent, we need to embrace it. So that's what I'm trying to do every day, is to remember that, because it can get very wearing, and especially for the light workers, for the people who are out there, holding it together. We're basically remembering the truth, and we're remembering the truth of who we are, as well as everyone else on the planet, while we wait for them to wake up. And I'm talking about so many of my people that I love in my life, family, and even most of my friends who are unawakened have kind of fallen away.
Yeah.
But I certainly have others that are close to me that I love dearly, and they're very much in the matrix. And so, all you can do is remember for them and hold that truth for them. Not that we're superior. That's kind of can come off sounding like that, but that's not what I'm saying. It's just that they're just not awakening yet. Their time will come. But until it comes, it's our job, our role is to remember for them and to keep our frequency high and keep doing what we're doing so that we can keep moving forward.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, that was beautiful. That was so inspiring. Yes. Well, let's talk a little bit about where you're headed next, which is the Contact in the Desert conference. You've done that for several years now.
No, this is going to be my second year.
Is it only your second year?
Yeah, I mean, my book's only been out for a couple of years, and it seems like longer.
It does.
But this will be my second year. I was there last year. I was very sick when I was there. The poison was at its worst almost. I think I had just gotten out of the hospital, and I had no business going out there, but I was so excited to be invited to it. It's a great event. It's so much fun. And, even being sick while I was there, I had to just stay down except for the times when I was having to be presenting or doing my workshop. But I was blessed, Maxine. It was the most amazing thing. They have you come in and you give your lectures, and there's every interesting, phenomenal person who's related to UFOs is there. And so they've got several stages going at the same time. And so you can float around, but you can buy the DVDs so you can catch all the lectures eventually. But I would have loved to have just been able to go around and listen to some of them, but I just had to stay in my little cottage and sleep or rest. But they had me scheduled for a workshop, and I tried to beg off of it because I was just way too sick to go. And it was at 9, I think it was at 9 or 9:30 that night, which is like 11:30 Wisconsin time. And I had been unable to stay awake past 8 o'clock for a long time. Plus I was laying on the sofa for most of my days. And so I knew that staying up that late was and even though I was laying down during the day, I didn't know how I was going to do that. My body I just knew I couldn't do it. And I tried to get out of it, and they said, we can't, the people have bought, and we don't know how to get a hold of them. So I said, well, I'm going to go there. I had a friend there who was there with me, and I asked her to go with, and I said, let's go there. And I'm just going to say, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. If I have to refund you the money myself, I'll do that. And because I can't do this workshop. And so I got there, and I walked in, and my friend was with me, and there were a lot of more people than I expected there. And they did this circle, and I tried to explain that I was sick, and my friend, I think, took over maybe. I can't remember it very well. They went in a circle, and they held up their hands to me, and they blessed me, and they sent healing energy to me. And I tell you what, I don't remember. I don't know what happened, but I could have gone all night long talking to them. And there were people there that were crying. They said it was the most moving workshop. Something came into me, the energy, my guides, or the energy from the people. So that workshop was really phenomenal. I mean, we talked about jumping timelines and releasing fear, raising your frequency. We talked about the fluid motion of time space, how you can control it. A lot of the stuff that my guys had taught me, and it was phenomenal. And I mean, it was great. And I made some great friends during that workshop. So yeah, that was a little mini miracle that happened during Contact Desert.
I'm so excited, and that because you're gonna have lots more information to share when you get back. But will you please give us a sneak preview of some of the things that you're going to be sharing at the Contact in the Desert conference? Because many of us will not be able to be there with you, although I can assure you, if you tell me what time you're speaking, I will be there with you.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I have to look at that schedule. I have a conference in Canada first I have to go to. I think that one's first, an experiencers conference. but I've cut way back this year. But I'm going to be talking this year. I was just in Eureka Springs and talked, and I was concerned about the talk because I'm talking about what we just touched on a little bit before, which is that humanity, my guides have made it clear, and my own experiences have shown that humanity on planet Earth has to step into their own power. That we're at a critical juncture right now. We've been at a critical juncture. It's getting old to say it, but it's true that, you know, we're in this birthing stage right now on the planet, and we're in the ascension right now. It's happening. We're going up from the third to the fourth, and it's an individual thing. So what you're experiencing is individual, but it's also, of course, because of oneness, it's all of us together. So where we're at now is, well, just quite honestly, I mean, you step outside and we're being sprayed, and you go to the grocery store, and how hard is it to find food that's not been weaponized and been poisoned and filled with pesticides, and all of these other things that are going on to make us feel like victims. So I'm using my own story as an example. The fact that I was attacked for in this game that we're playing. In this game that we're playing, I was attacked for saying that we are powerful beings, for saying that the ETs are by and large benevolent, and that they are nothing more than our extended family, and that they're waiting for us, and that we've been cut off from them and not allowed to be a part of the universal family by those who have been in control of the planet. We've had controllers on the planet for, you know, just forever, and part of the problem is, well, the problem is that people are unconscious about it, and so many people are not aware of the fact that we're under control. So many people, if you say that to the average person on the street, they have no idea what you're talking about. They may have heard about the elite or the 1%, but they don't understand the total control that has been put over, especially those of us in the United States, in all honesty. United States and probably Great Britain are two of the most controlled countries and most suppressed countries. So it's trying to get people to awaken and claim their own power, because complacency is not acceptable anymore. Complacency is going to leave you behind in a three-dimensional world if you don't wake up and look at what's happening, because that's just how it works. You can't move on into the higher densities unless you are in awareness and you've released your ego, released your fear, released the lower vibrational, you know, parts of yourself, for, you know, that you're hanging on to, judgments, anger, all of that. And I think that there's a lot of souls out there that are yearning to awaken. The soul is wanting to awaken and to move up through the frequencies. Of course, everyone wants to do that at this time. That's why you're here. But so many people are turning away from the awakening process, or away from the whatever it is that their soul is doing as their wake up, you know, whether it's illness. Mm-hmm. Your soul uses whatever, your higher self will use whatever it can to get your attention. And it will, like I say, you know, for myself, you know, I got, you know, knocked down, you know, flat on the floor. And when you're down on the floor, you're like, you know, oh God, what did I do? And show me another way. But then you pick yourself up and you put the pieces back together. That's the tendency. And you keep on going with life as you know it till you get knocked down again. And each time you get knocked down, it gets harder, and you get knocked down, you know, it took a 2x4 for me, you know, to finally get the message that you got to look at things a little bit differently. And you can't just brush the pieces of your life back together again and glue it back together and keep on keeping on and having your life be what it was before, which is all about the form, you know, the money and the success and the labels and the identification with the world of form, the matrix. And when you finally get it, you get it, and there's no going back. Mm-hmm. So my lectures are about how my talking about this created such a response from the controllers that they waged an all-out war on me to silence me. So apparently something I'm saying really irritates them, which pleases me no end. And so they came after me big time. Now, they didn't kill me. I think if they had intended to kill me, they would have. And they came close. So maybe that was their intention, but they came very close. They are killing people. Many of our holistic doctors are dying, and some of our journalists are dying for reporting the truth. That's the war that's being waged that we're not hearing about, because our mainstream media is owned by the controllers. So those of us who are here on the fringe, like myself, we have to talk about it, because we have to bring that awareness. Because even a lot of the people who are aware and awakened, they don't know the degree to which these attacks can happen. And they are waging attacks on everyone. There's very few that are not having some kind of mind control. And they need to be aware of it so they can protect themselves, because they are able to do with the technology that they have. And it's not meant to scare people. That's the thing, is I always say you have to look at this from the perspective of higher, fifth dimension. You have to look down at it as a game. We're in this game, and you got all the pieces of the puzzle are right here. You just have to put them together and use it to keep yourself safe. If I could get through the attack that I got, and I survived it, and I came out the other side just fine. I mean, I have some physical challenges because of it, residual challenges, but still, if I can do that, then anybody can protect themselves. There are ways to do it. So that's what I talk about, is how you go about being aware when there are things being done to you that are without your consent. And you have to put up your walls. You have to be in your own power. And it's unfortunate, it's not right that we're here having this experience of living in this world, that we're not free to just live our lives without having to worry about being interfered with. But we are being interfered with. We're being messed with, especially those souls that are awakening. Your light starts to shine bright, you're going to attract the attention of the controllers. And it's just the way the process works. You reach a certain level, they're going to shut you down. And so if you're aware of it ahead of time, you can keep that from happening. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not a pretty subject, I know, and I can feel I'm creating fear in some people out there, and I don't want to. That's not the purpose. It's knowledge. You have to have knowledge, and to pretending it doesn't happen. And I know a lot of people who are awakened who say, this is dark, Sherry, and I'm not going to go there so I'm not going to have this conversation. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But you know what? That doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. It's true, you have to keep your frequency high. And if this pulls your frequency down, that's not a good thing. But at the same time, I'm a strong believer in you have to look at it in order to heal it. The Course in Miracles certainly teaches us that everything that has to be healed, you have to first look at it, acknowledge it, be aware of it, and then transmute it. And that's what my guys have taught me too. You can't turn your back on it and say, I'm just going to go over here and play in the sunshine and pretend that there's no dark clouds over there and there's no storm happening over there. There's a storm there, and you have to walk through that storm to get to the other side. So best that you take an umbrella with you. I can give you the umbrella that you need to protect yourself so that you know how to get through this by sharing my experiences. That's all that it's about. So that's what my talks are about. It's not the usual. I mean, it's not that it's not uplifting. I think that it ends on a note where it is uplifting. I mean, the response I got from the crowd at Eureka was overall quite positive. And what I heard was that people needed to hear this because they were concerned with what was happening to them. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were aware enough to know that they also were under attack. There was something weird, not quite right with what was going on in their life. And they use a lot of different ways. And so I think knowledge is power. And that's what we need to do is claim our own power. So
I agree with you. That's why I wrote my book, Move Into the Magic, to help us deprogram ourselves so that we can see the truth and recognize I'm not a victim. I am responsible, totally responsible for everything that's occurred. If it's in my life, I want it. If it's not in my life, I don't. Might be on the way to me, but freeze frame it this is what I've created now, and if I don't like it, I can change it, but I have to change me.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where it starts. And,
Yes.
when I first wrote that, the response was small because people were not ready. And this was in 2012.
Oh, really?
And now people are saying what I've written. I thought, well, okay.
Yeah.
Here it comes, which is very reassuring.
Right. It's absolutely true. And it takes the whole sting out of the feeling of being a victim when you realize that the truth of who we are is, first of all, you start with that. We're energy. So we send out this frequency, this energy, and we invite into our life exactly what it is that we need. So anything that's happening, put my doggy over there, anything that's happening, anything that's in your life. I mean, we just had this conversation last night at my Course in Miracles class. We went around the room and I asked everybody to share with me, what's 1 or 2 words, tell me what your fear is, and we went around the room and I said, okay, so that's in your life, these experiences, because as they would share their fear, they would say, and I have this because this is happening or whatever. And I say, it's there because you invited it, because it's ready to be healed. So if you have fear of poverty or, not having enough money, and now, oh my gosh, you just lost your job and you only have enough money to survive for the next month or 2, and you're in fear about that. Well, guess what? You're not a victim. That didn't just randomly happen to you. It happened because you invited it, because your higher self said, you got to heal this fear. You go into the 5th dimension, honey, and you can't bring this fear with you. So heal it. That's what's happening right now. That's why there's so much chaos feeling right now in the world. And everybody feels like a victim. Their lives are such struggles. They're challenged with, financial, health, relationship, you name it, one or more or all of the above. And that's why. It's because it has to be healed. And we heal it how? That's another thing. It's not that difficult to heal it. Love is the answer to everything. Oh, yeah. You just embrace it, you see it for what it is, and you remember the truth of who you are. And from that perspective of being God, you look at it and you go, so God wanted to have this experience of coming here and having a great job and then losing it, and now being faced with, losing my home and losing. So God, you're telling me that God wanted that? And I'm saying, as a matter of fact, yeah, God did want that, because otherwise you wouldn't be living that. So, respond to it from that status, from that place of being God, look at it from that higher perspective. And all of a sudden it's not going to be so frightening and so threatening. You're God. You can create whatever you want. You created that. The same mind that created that can create just the opposite. And when you learn to surrender that and to give it over to your higher self, to your higher power, miracles show up. That's why I tell people, I was just minding my own business, living my life, and all of a sudden, wham, I'm writing a book, and now the book's being made into a series, and I'm out lecturing and talking, and I don't know if it's the life. I never saw that coming, but it's not a bad life. It's an interesting life. I could have never dreamed that up. My higher self was in charge of that. That led me to that, because I did a prayer of surrender here one day, and I said, just show me where you want me to go and what you want me to do. Use me in whatever way you can. Boy, the answer came fast.
Yes.
So that's how it works, right?
Right. Well, what I've seen too is anytime, my house was destroyed by a tornado while I was still in it and all this, but I knew why I created it, because I wanted a new house, but I didn't want to leave the neighborhood. Hello. That's exactly why. And everybody said, oh, you poor thing. I said, no.
Yeah.
I created this. Well, they thought I was crazy, of course, unless they were dear friends and knew that I probably was, because I created it. But what I mean is that there is a gift, there's a blessing in everything. There is a literal gift. And that was in 2013, just a few years ago. The gift was, I'm living in a brand new house on the same property. The walls were cleansed of all of the mold and all of that, and they rebuilt the roof, and I got new furniture, and I have this, and they left the front yard a trash heap, and my best friend came over and said, I'm going to bring you a tree. And then he built a wildflower garden that I'm looking at while I'm talking to you. And so the gifts keep coming and coming. And when I was saying the same things that you say and saying, send me my own kind, where? I want my own kind.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then I met you, and I met lots of other people like you, like us. And I thought, okay, well, Sherry may not live in Atlanta where I live, but we've got the internet. And I can interview her anytime she's free. So I'm in touch worldwide with my own kind. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever you ask for, you get. So if you just say in the middle of it, whether it's a heart attack, whether it's whatever, what is the blessing? What's the gift?
Right.
You see the
Right.
thousands of gifts. And
Right.
that's always been the little key I share with my students, because we're in the middle of it. When somebody at the door leaves you, whether through death or because they found somebody else, when your life comes apart because of ill health or lack of funds, you're up to your, it's hard to come out of it very quick. But if you say, all right, what's the gift in this?
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts. Oh, the doors open.
Exactly. Because you're not a victim anymore. You've taken away the sting of being a victim and the whole energy behind that. And so it stops that from happening any longer. And when you're looking for the gift, I do the exact same thing, Maxine. And, on my worst days when I was, suffering with physical issues and I was very foggy brained and weak, I still knew enough. I call it my default setting is to go to, who I am, the truth of who I am. And from there, look at it and go, okay, there's a higher purpose to this. I invited this into my life. I don't know why I did. It always takes a while after you've been through trauma.
Yeah.
It takes a while for you to come out the other end of it, for you to look back at it and go, okay, I'm blessed. Every morning now I say, thank you for that experience. It was an amazing experience. And I'm so blessed to have the life I have. But when you're in it, it is very hard. So the most I could do also was to look at it and go, what is it that I'm supposed to get from this? What is this experience showing me? And I just keep looking for, I don't call it the gift, but I think I might start doing that. And just because I always go, what is it I'm supposed to get from this? And there's always something, some little nugget of truth or something, that an experience that usually it means I'm meant to share it. So, yeah.
Oh, well, of course. Look at your arena. Look at your platform. Of course you're meant to share it.
Yeah.
That's why I keep inviting you back as my guest. You are meant to share it with everybody. And of course, at the Joshua Tree, that's a terrific opportunity.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, just a little off subject. Can those of us who do not attend order the DVDs or CDs of the talk?
I would think that you could. I would certainly think so, but I don't know that for certain. I don't get into that part of it. I'm pretty sure that at Eureka Springs, I know that they do, because I had people order the lectures from there and they didn't attend. So I'm quite sure that they all must follow that protocol. It would seem that they would, because they're trying to make a profit. They don't do this just out of the goodness of their heart. They're trying to also have it be financially worthwhile.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, I would think that you could. And they have so many speakers there.
Yeah.
Have so many, and I don't know if you can pick out the ones that you want. It would seem that you could.
Sure.
It seems to me they gave me that right last year when I was there, but I was very foggy brained and I don't remember. But I think so. Yeah.
Well, I'll check into it, because I would love to hear yours. And I know that there are a lot of things that you've been taught over the years. You boiled it down, and I really do think that what you said about let go of being a victim is so huge. I mean, I think that's the plug. Just opens the dam. Just the flood is open up. In your book, and you just mentioned earlier, there were 3 things that they wanted us to know, your guys. The multidimensional facet of our existence being the second one. Can you tell us the other 2?
So the first one is we are all one with our Creator. That was the number one thing. The number one most important thing to know is we are all one with our Creator. The number two thing is we are multidimensional beings existing on more than one level simultaneously. And then the third thing is monitor your thoughts, which I'm seeing that, that's always been around. I mean, as far as I know, since the time I was probably a teenager or so, I heard other people talking about that. But I was so grateful throughout my life that they taught me that when I was a little girl, and that I grew up doing that, because it's second nature for me to observe my thoughts and to keep them positive. There came a time when I was in my 20s, I could have, I think, slipped into depression. It runs in my family, and quite profusely. It's quite a challenge for those in my family who have had it. So I felt it come on a little bit, and I caught it in time. And I remember, I have a vague recollection of my guys coming in, and that was actually during the time when I fell through the rafters. It was right during that time. There were things going on in my life, and I felt powerless, and I felt myself slipping into what I would have probably found to be a depression. But I do remember them coming in very strongly and reminding me to monitor my thoughts and watch my thoughts and keep them positive. And it's literally a matter of, if you find yourself having a negative thought, you just replace it with a positive, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference, as we all know, doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's a lie. So a lot of the negative thoughts that your ego is telling you, or when you're down on yourself and beating yourself up, you're saying, you've got this nasty stuff going through your head, and you're berating yourself, and it creates a downward spiral. So you have to catch it in time, replace it with a positive thought. Even though you're not feeling very positive and the circumstances in your life are not very good, you lie to yourself. And I think I also heard this from recently, was it Mick Jagger or someone like that? It was interesting, who said, I faked it until I became it. I just faked who I was until I became that. And that's basically what I did. I learned that lesson when I was a teenager, and then again in my 20s, I faked it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, because it takes you to a place of joy, and it saves you from going into that state of depression and darkness. So we're in control of our thoughts. A great big bird just flew over. It's just humongous. Must have been an eagle, but it just flew over looking for my Pookie, no doubt. I can't let him go outside without me, because we have big hawks, and we have a golden eagle that nests right out back here. And if he's out there by himself, he's about 9 or 10 pounds, and can't let him be out there by himself. It was just interesting. A huge shadow of something just flew over.
Interesting.
Yeah, all kinds of things. This house has seen a lot, let me tell you.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it has. It's a lot of people think I should be scared here, but because I've had Draco, and that's what I'll be talking about my encounters with the Draco, because we were working with them this last year and a half. My partner and I, we entered into an agreement with them, and we worked with them for some time. And I think they've been given a pretty bad rap for the most part, because the Draco that we were working with were really sweet, but I had to banish them after the attacks started. Because I couldn't discern who to trust and who not to trust. From my low frequency, my frequency had been suppressed to the point where I couldn't trust myself, Yes. And I couldn't communicate with my guys. I couldn't communicate with my higher self or my angels, that I'm used to having that guidance and that communication open, which I've got now. But at that time I couldn't. And so we were working with the Draco, and I had to banish them. But yeah, so this house has seen a lot, definitely.
Well, Sherry, thank you so much for once again giving us your time, sharing your light, your love, your wisdom. Please come back. I love interviewing you. Love talking with you. Perhaps after this next Contact in the Desert conference, who knows? Perhaps another book will come out of you.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure. I would love to write because I love writing and I would love to do that. It's a matter of time,
Oh, I hear you.
but yeah,
Well,
I've got my new product. I have this new product that is supposed to give me my financial freedom. And we're just getting ready to I have a partner that I brought in with me because I was too sick to do it on my own. We're just getting ready now to place an order, and we're going to be launching that on Kickstarter. It's a tote bag for realtors, an organizer tote bag for realtors for when they go out on showings. It's called the Go and Show. And so I'm excited about that. So if that takes off and does okay, that will buy me my freedom so I don't have to work so hard every day. So
well, I hope so. And I hope you'll come back, and I hope everybody will join me again next week when once again we move into the magic. Until then, this is Maxine Taylor reminding you that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Talk to you next week.